Okay, guys, we're beginning lesson 2 today. What we're going to focus on is standard form of a quadratic equation and how to graph it. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers. Remember, this is going to form a parabola when we draw it. Now, the vertex, as we learned yesterday, is a little bit challenging. Not challenging, but takes a little bit of math involved. Remember, we have to use the little equation here to find x first by using the little formula x equals negative b over 2 times a. So remember, when it says a negative b, that means opposite of b. Then whatever number you get for that, you take that number and plug it in for the x's or x's in the equation and use order of operations to figure out what the y is. And that'll be your vertex. The AOS, remember, that stands for axis of symmetry. It divides the left and right sides. It's just an invisible guiding line to help you get mirrored points later on. It doesn't ask for the equation, but just a reminder, if it asks for an equation, it's x equals a number, whatever the x value is in your vertex. So remember, AOS directly relates to the vertex because it must pass through the vertex every time. Okay, now we're going to graph the quadratic function in standard form. We always have to start with the vertex. We have a is 1, b is 2, c is 3. So we're going to start off with my formula. B is 2, so we'll call it opposite of 2, negative 2. And then 2 times the a is 1. Multiply on the bottom, and then divide. So there's your x coordinate, negative 1. Now you need your y coordinate. You're going to take that negative 1 and plug it back into the equation for the x's, and carefully use parentheses. Okay, squared, or again, order of operations. You always do exponent first. So negative 1 squared would be 1. And then you can multiply to get minus 2. And then add those numbers together and get 2. So your vertex is negative 1, 2. So we're going to plot that point. Now, the axis of symmetry, remember, is an invisible line that is going to go through the vertex. It's just a guideline. I apologize for the music in the background. My son is also having a Zoom meeting upstairs. Okay. Next, we need more points. This is where this takes a little bit more work. We need a table of XY values. So we make a table on the side. You must carefully decide the X values here. Now, to do that, we take a look at the first X value, which was negative 1 in the vertex. And you think of the 3, you just list the 3 numbers that come after negative 1 on a number line. 0, 1, 2. And then what you're going to do, like what you did with the vertex back here when we solved for y, you're just going to do that again 3 more times. For example, you will take the 0 and plug it in for the x's. And then you will solve. So you will get 3. So that's another point that we'll graph in a minute. Then we take the 1 and do that guy. So 1, 6 will be another point. And then finally the 2. And then we have our last point. Now we're ready to plot those points on our graph. So 0, 3. And then what we're going to do, we're going to use the axis to get a mirrored point on the other side. And then 1, 6. And then that's 2 away from the dotted line. So go 2 away on the left side. And then 2, 11, we'll try to squeeze it up here. And then a matching point on the other side. And then you can draw your parabola. Okay, next up, f of x equals. That's just function notation. It just means y equals. So let's go to getting the x coordinate of our vertex. So negative b divided by 2 times a. So it'll be 6 is b. A is negative 3. So multiply and divide. Now we need our y coordinate. So we're going to take the 1 and plug it in for the x's here and here. Exponent first. So 1 squared is 1. If you don't carefully use parentheses in order of operations, you're going to screw up when you get your y value, and your points will be all jacked up. So multiply here, and then we can add those numbers together and get 9. Not negative 9, positive 9. So our vertex, we can graph now, 1, 9. And then I'm going to draw my axis of symmetry, my guideline to separate the middle. It's got to go through the vertex. And now I need my other points. I need to make my table of values. This is mandatory for full credits on the homework. Okay, so what x value should I choose? Well, again, take a look at the 1 for your first x value. So after that would be, after 1 comes 2, 3, 4. Pretty easy. And then I'm going to use the formula again 3 times. Going to start with the 2, plugging in for the x. I'm going to exponent. Then I can multiply twice. And then I can add those to get 6. So I write my 6 up in my table. All right, I'm going to go a little quicker here to save some time. So that'll be negative 9, negative 3. And then the 4. That'll be negative 18. All right, this guy, when I get the negative 18, that's going to be too far off the graph, so I'm not going to worry about it. Anything kind of past 10 or 11, I can't squeeze in. The graphs will only go up to 10. All right, so let's plot 2, 6. And then get a point on the other side of the axis. And then 3, negative 3. And then a point on the other side of the axis. And then draw a smooth parabola. It's going to be a very narrow parabola. So please make sure, don't draw it like, make sure it's drawn almost going straight down, almost like vertical at the end. Okay, next. Now this guy, negative 2x squared, negative 2 is the a. Here, b is actually 0. That 5 has to be the c. because it does not have a variable attached to it. So x equals negative b over 2 times a. We're going to get 0. A little hint for future, anytime the b is a 0, your x coordinate of your vertex is going to be a 0. That could be a time saver later on. All right, so now we take that 0 and plug it in for the x's. And we're going to have 5. So our vertex here is going to be 0, come on, 5. Got to turn off these notifications. 0, 5. So I'm not going to draw the axis of symmetry because the y-axis serves that purpose. Next, I'm going to go to my table of xy values. All right, what do I need to choose? My first x value in the vertex is 0. So after 0, 1, 2, 3. Easy. And then I'm just going to be plugging into the formula. And I'm going to just do some mental math here. 1 squared is 1, negative 2 plus 3 is plus 5 is 3. And then 2 squared. I'm just doing exponent. I'm just doing exponent, multiply, then add 5. That's all I'm doing there. Order of operations. 2 squared, 4, negative 3. And then the 3, that would be negative 13. All right, so I can go ahead and plot those points now. I got 1, 5. Nope, hold up. I wrote the wrong thing here. That was meant to say, when I plug 1 in, it'd be negative 2 plus 5 is 3. That was supposed to be a 1, 3. And then on the other side of the axis, and then 2, 3, put a point on the other side of the axis, and then 3, negative 13 we can cross off. It will not fit, and we draw a nice, smooth parabola. Okay, another one. Here, a is an invisible negative 1. So let's get our formula going to get x. That would be a double negative for b, which will change to a positive. And then 2 times a. That'll multiply to get negative 2 and divide to get negative 1. So I'm going to now take that negative 1 and plug it in the formula. I'm going to be very careful here using parentheses for the x's. Notice especially in front of the x squared, there's a negative sign. So I put the negative, then parentheses, negative 1, then squared. So this negative here just drops down, because technically you have to do the exponent first. So negative 1 squared is 1. It becomes negative 1 because of the negative that I highlighted to start the problem. And then we can multiply, and then we can add. So coincidentally, our vertex has the same coordinates, negative 1, negative 1. So we're going to go graph that now. Next, I'm going to draw my axis of symmetry, my guiding line. All right, this graph, by the way, is going to open down. The a is negative right after the equal sign. So it's a little mental check I do when I'm going over problems if it's going to open up or down. I think you should do it too. Next, xy. Just going to do the same procedures. After negative 1 should come 0, 1, 2. And I need to get my values. 2. That'll be -2. I'm just doing some quick math on the side. Since my packet's at school, I have to start these over from scratch. 2, -4. Okay, so I did my math. I did my order of operations. I can now plot these points. We got 0, -2. Get a point on the other side. We got 1, -5. Point on the other side. And we have 2, -10. Point on the other side. That's done. Okay, now we're going to transition away from graphing for a minute, and we are going to go back and forth. We're going to learn how to go back and forth between standard form and vertex form. So in the first part, notice I give you equations in standard form. We're going to learn how to go to vertex form. It's actually really easy. It looks intimidating. It's super easy. So write down these steps in your notes. Now the first thing we're going to do is find the vertex. Now again, my goal here is vertex form. You should have this memorized by now. Always memorize your formulas. Come on. Always memorize your formulas. Okay, so getting the vertex, we're going to do the x equals -b over 2 times a. So multiply on the bottom and then divide. And then we need to figure out the y. So I'm going to take the 2 and plug it in for the x's into the formula and then use order of operations. By the way, this x that I just got, that's going to be the h in my formula. Now getting the y is going to be my k. So this guy here, just double checking, it seems like a really high number. 4, 8, 16, 24, 30, no, that's right. That y coordinate of my vertex, that's going to be my k in my formula. So now I can go into my formula and start writing it in. Now the a, the a I use here will be the a I use here. So it's just using it again. So now I'm ready to go into my answer. Y equals the a is 2, x minus the h squared, and then plus k. And that's it. Let's try another one. In this guy, a is 1. So let's get our x coordinate. So that'll be double -4, negative from the formula, and b is -4, which will change to a positive. And then 2 times the a is 1, so multiply on the bottom, then divide. So that is going to be my h in my formula. Now I need to get my y, which will be my k. So I'm taking my 2, plugging it in for my x's, just like I've been doing for 20 minutes now. and I'll get 2, and that's going to be my k in my formula. So now I can go to my formula. Y equals, the a is an invisible 1, so I don't need to put it. Go to parentheses, x minus h, close parentheses, squared, plus the k, easy. All right, let's try a couple more. Here a is 1, b 2, c 5. Let's use negative b over 2 times a. So multiply on the bottom and divide. That's going to be my h. And then for the y, plug in the negative 1 in for the x's in the formula. And that 4 will be my k. Now I can go to the formula. Y equals, a is an invisible 1, don't need to put it. Go to parentheses, x minus h, but the h is negative 1. Remember, we say the h is opposite, so that's actually going to be a plus 1. Close parentheses, squared, then plus k, which is 4. All right, last one for this little part. So negative b over 2 times a, multiply on the bottom, and then divide. So that 1 will be my h. And then the y. So I'm going to take that 1 and plug it in. I'm going to multiply the exponent. And that negative 3 will be my k. So now I'm ready to go to my formula. Y equals a. Notice it's the a back here. I use it again for both forms. Parentheses, x minus h squared plus k will be that minus 3. All right, now we're going to do the reverse. We're going to start with vertex form, but we're going to convert to standard form, which is ax squared plus bx, and that should say plus c, not equals c. Plus c. All right, there are the steps. We're going to FOIL, distribute the a, and then combine like terms to write it in standard form. Pretty straightforward stuff here. So whatever that parentheses squared is, we write that parentheses twice. And we're going to FOIL it. If you don't remember what FOIL is or never heard of it, you need to go online, pause this, go online, and type in FOIL method. All right, first, you should have learned in Algebra 1, by the way. It's just double distributing. First, outer, inner, and last. Now we're going to distribute the a. We're going to multiply 4 times. Negative 2 is multiplying 4 times. And then we're going to combine like terms, which would be these guys here. And then there it is, standard form. Let's try another one. Let's write out that x plus 2 twice, since it says squared. Let's bring down the 3 and just FOIL the x plus 2's. First, outer, inner, and then last. Bring down the minus 10 after the parentheses. That minus 10 at the end, that k, if you will, that is goes with into the last step, the combining like term step. Now we're going to distribute the a, which is 3. So multiply 4 times. And now we're going to combine like terms. These guys add up to plus 12x. And then these guys add up to plus 2. And that's done. And then one more. Going to write out the x plus 6 twice. I'm going to FOIL the x plus 6's. Just bring down the 1/3 and bring down the minus 14. So first, outer, inner, and last. And then I'm going to distribute the 1/3, multiply 4 times. Remember, multiplying by 1/3 is just saying divide by 3. And then combine like terms. These combine to get plus 4x. And then these combine to get minus 2. And that's it. My lesson is finished.